Intro's still overrated. Still not doing that, but we are doing a podcast. Consider this September and October because fuck you. That's why.
Yep, and as you can see, we've gotten into season.
Oh yes. The expertly crafted Halloween costumes we have for this time of year.
Yes, we commissioned an
I
expert artist for these.
an absolutely expert artist. Top dollar for these, out of pocket. Top
Uh,
dollar.
top dollar. Anyway, what have you been up to? What kind of games have you been playing?
Uh, I finally finished Space Marine 2.
Yep.
Finally, I locked in. By the time I locked in and I finished it in like 2 days, but like 2 hour sessions, and I realized about an hour in that I only had about 20% of the game left.
Yeah.
So that was cool. Um,
Fuck Leandros, by the
yeah,
way.
true. I was right, by the way.
True. I didn't want to spoil it for you, but you were
I
absolutely
was I
correct.
was so right. Um, the back half of that game is not as good as the front half of that game.
I'll agree with that. Yeah.
It's not bad. Like the back half's still fine, but it's definitely
It's a
you
little
can
weaker.
tell by the uh, obviously spoilers. You can tell around the point that they removed the Tyranids from the plot that they've showed you all the cool stuff they want to show you as far as like new gameplay and stuff. Um, and all that's left is like here's a couple set pieces and we're wrapping up the story. Bye bye.
Yeah, pretty much.
Uh,
My
the old
my finding with that is that it felt like they were told, "Hey, you have to shoehorn these guys in here," and so it was a little clumsier than the Tyranid storyline, but it's fine.
yeah. Well, and it's like I don't know. Obviously, with Tyranids being the way they are, it's a little bit difficult to have like a I don't know. The chaos guys give you an easier in to have like a villain at the face of it,
Yeah, definitely a lot
but
easier to like include plot and shit.
but then it hits a point where it's like I don't know. In the first one, even though the orcs lose importance once the chaos marines come up, you at least like get like a final fight. Right, you beat what's his name up, and then they're done. Uh, as far as I can tell, the Tyranid's final boss is beaten by the co-op mission guys. So like Titus doesn't even actually help with the final push to get rid of the Tyranids. He's just doing other shit, holding them off, and then someone else does it, and that's fine. But it is a little anticlimactic in terms of the actual plot.
Yeah. I have played that co-op mission, and it is to be fair, that's a fun ass boss fight. Uh, but I think I know why they did it because it's like if we deal with all the plot with Titus, we've got nothing to do the co-op missions for. But
Yeah, I'm of the mind that if your single player mode is where your big plot is, then that's where your big plot should be. And I don't have a problem with there being other plot in the side missions, but like it could just as easily has been Titus is there and those guys are also doing something in that fight. I don't know what that fight's like. I haven't played those missions. I don't know if I will. Maybe maybe one day I'll buckle down and get you to play through them with me or something. But um, maybe there's a way they could have weaved that together instead of having Titus basically just not give a shit about the Tyranids after a certain point entirely.
right, yeah.
Uh, that was a little awkward, and then they very quickly introduce like the villain after that, and it's super weird.
Well, to be fair, they kind of hinted at him even during the Tyranid sections. Like,
Yeah, but they hit the like, here's the villain. He is bad villain. Everyone's afraid of this villain, and this is partially probably because I don't have a lot of grander context. But in the context of that game, outside of like vague hints, he just kind of shows up, and everyone's like, "Oh fuck, it's that guy," and I'm like, "I don't know who this is."
if it makes you feel any better, as far as I am aware, he is not actually an established character in the lore.
I had to go look it up, and from what I can tell, he isn't. But they treat him like he is, and I'm just here like, what the fuck's going on here?
I
Who
think it's
is
a
this
lot.
fucking guy?
I think it's a lot more like, oh fuck, it's a guy who has like actual chaos power and not just sand marines.
Maybe I don't know. It just feels weird. Like, uh, it almost feels like all their cool ideas had to do with the Tyranids, but then they're like, well, we gotta follow up on the chaos plot a little bit here. So let's do this shit at the end. Because by that point they don't even gameplay wise they don't like introduce new stuff. It's all just like there's cool moments, but they're all like set pieces and not any cool like new weapons or new upgrades or anything like that.
Well, I mean, there's a couple like the Thunderhammer and shit, but they don't really have like big new things. I'll agree with you there.
Though that being said, and I'm shit talking it a lot, but it was still really good. Like it wasn't bad. The core gameplay is good enough that it can get by just fine. I just
Yeah,
thought that the
yeah.
back half was slightly less fun,
No, I
slightly
get
less
that.
interesting, even. Maybe not less fun, but just slightly less interesting. And that might be because, to a certain degree, it just kind of feels like a retread of what we've already done with this character.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like,
For me, the last half of the game, the way it kept me interested was I'm a huge Necron nerd, and so going into a Necron tomb, I was just kind of soy jack pointing the entire time.
it did look really good. Like, it was still visually interesting. I wish they had held something back or introduced something so I had like a new toy or something.
Yeah,
I'm
so
like a baby with jingling keys, right?
right, yeah, I was listening to a lot of the audio logs and stuff, and I was like, man, they're talking a lot about the Necrons. Are they gonna actually do it? Are we gonna fight Necrons in a 40K game finally?
I hope so.
And then we didn't, and I felt a little bit
There,
betrayed, but you know,
there's gonna be a third one, so
that's
maybe
true.
our obligatory early game Xeno will be a fucking will be the Egyptians next time.
That would
Horrible sentence out of
be,
context.
yeah. Uh, that would be horrific lore-wise and so fun gameplay-wise.
I like this. I like the Egyptian skeleton guys. They're cool.
Yeah, they're
They
my
look neat.
favorite faction.
They're up there
Um,
for me too. Um, but there's some cool stuff in the back half, like the chapter master showing up at the end and all that stuff. So
oh yeah, that's the fucking stand with the standard.
yeah,
That was sick as hell. That was my favorite part first time through.
uh, I did not care for the final boss fight itself with the weird demon dragon showing up and the guy teleporting around.
Yeah, no,
It wasn't even hard. It was just kind of like a little boring.
honestly, the part of it that bugged me the most was the fucking walking simulator at the end.
Yeah,
That felt like possibly the most anticlimactic thing ever.
which, to be fair, Space Marine One ended with a couple of QTEs, so they
That's
just ain't figured
fair.
it out yet. They just ain't figured it out yet. They can't stick the landing.
One of these days they'll figure out how to end a game.
Uh, but yeah, that final boss fight, which I guess also the actual final fight in the Space Marine one wasn't that great either. So whatever. Everything else though, like it was pretty good. I think maybe I liked the first one a little bit more, but I'm not gonna commit to that opinion necessarily
Yeah, I think
because
Space Marine 2 it really shines with like the core gameplay.
yeah,
Um, and I think they tried really hard to make a cool and like impactful 40K story without making too much of a fuss so that Games Workshop wouldn't get mad at them. Uh, and I think they did well for what they had. I think that it was overall pretty decent, if with obviously a few flaws.
most of my flaws aren't with the story itself, anyways. It's more just like the pacing and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I think the story itself is about as serviceable as it can get, and it's intentionally basically the first game story, but flipped.
Yeah, yeah, I think it was definitely. I still stand by. I feel like with all the shit they're doing for Titus, like the secret level episode and Space Marine 2 and 3 apparently, I feel like they're gearing up for him to be like a major character in the books or something. Maybe in the TV show they're working on.
Maybe. I hope so. I don't know. I like those games. I just spent the last 10 minutes shit talking it, but I like that game a lot.
Yeah,
It was really
yeah.
good. It was basically everything I wanted that sequel to be, besides a couple of small details.
Yep, and I'm just a 40K nerd, so you know, it's hard to
Ah,
make me mad
at
with
this
a
point,
40K game.
and Fire Warrior.
I've never played it, so I can't speak to that.
Oh, don't.
Yeah, that's what I'm told.
But that's the one I really want to update because I think both like two of the other three episodes, I was like, yeah, it's 40K, am I right?
Yeah.
So that's finally off under my plate. I've been playing a couple of things though. I've uh, through a miraculous turn of events, I have infinitely more free time than I previously had. So I've been playing some games.
Hell yeah. I mean, also not hell yeah, but hell yeah.
No, hell yeah, fuck that job.
Oh, hell yeah? Hell okay.
Hell yeah, fuck that job, dude. I'm out. I quit my job. Blessed day. One of them. Uh, I'm not an unemployed man, I promise. Um, what else am I playing? I'm still playing Balatro. You know, I finally breached 51% achievement clears, so
Hell yeah.
I'm over halfway done with that. Uh, I'm always playing through Halo a little bit, trying to get all the single player achievements in that game. God help me.
Oh man, that's a lot of that's a lot of achievements.
Uh, and most recently, I started playing Planescape Torment because boy, do I only ever play video games from the years 1990 to 2007, I guess.
Old ass.
Fuck you. This one's from 1997. CRPG made by the guys who made Fallout 1 and 2, and it's really fucking good. I played
I
it before,
bet if it's
but
made by
it was
those
a long
guys.
time ago. I played it last time I played it. I was in high school, and I had sub-legally obtained a copy. This is a copy
Uh-huh.
I legally own, and playing through it as a grown-ass man. So I like it's focused on dialogue,
Uh-huh.
and I like that I don't have to solve every problem by beating somebody's ass. Fallout New Vegas coded and all that.
Right, right.
And I also just like the Planescape setting a lot. It's got a kind of a dingy, dark, vaguely spooky vibe that I gel with.
Yeah. Yeah, I've not I so the only CRPG I've ever really played was Rogue Trader, 40K.
Yep.
Uh and it was pretty fun. I did have a game-breaking glitch that literally fucked my entire save file. And that was annoying. But
That's a common trend with that company, I believe. I don't remember
yeah,
the name.
Owlcat has a theme of banger games with game-breaking glitches. Uh
Uh, I sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I've been meaning to try more of them because the style of it, I guess, of like CRPG and the combat and all that kind of stuff was
Yeah,
really fun. I just
I
wish,
was gonna say I was gonna say I think you gel with that genre a lot. I love that genre. It's one of my favorites. I've played a lot of them. Uh, but I'm actually kind of surprised you haven't played. Well, maybe I'm not, but I think you would like them.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I just wish that like the current premier CRPG making company was not known for having game-breaking glitches. Uh,
uh, brother, you play some Larian games.
I've played all the Larian games. I've played Baldur's Gate. I've played Divinity: Original Sin 1 and 2.
I thought those are CRPGs. They're modern
Oh,
CRPGs, but they're still
okay.
CRPGs.
That's
That's,
fair.
they're a little bit more actionized than a lot of examples, but they're still CRPGs in my book.
Okay,
They,
okay.
it's the equivalent of like, it's like boomer shooters, right? Sure, they're new and they've got a lot of quality of life features, but they hit all the hallmarks of like 90s shooters. So it's the same thing.
That's fair. Okay.
Some people might want to split hairs, but fuck them.
True.
I consider them CRPGs. They've Larian basically revived the whole fucking genre at this point.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I was gonna
Uh,
say, yeah, no, Divinity is really good. BG3 is fantastic.
yeah, obviously, Game of the Year and all that.
Game of the year this year, last year, the year before. I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
Game of every year.
probably. It's fucking fantastic. Unfortunately, they're not working on the next one, but they're working on two other games that are apparently bigger than Baldur's Gate 3, so what the fuck?
Pop off, man. They got it.
Yeah, they'll handle that shit.
They did their Baldur's Gate, then they can go do their fun own things again. Which is to say, I'm sure they're going back to the Divinity universe in some capacity.
Maybe. If I recall it correctly, I think it's hang on. If my information is correct, which it might not be, I think it's like a new IP.
That's also fair. I would also maybe just not go back to my old IP at that point.
Okay, yeah, it's okay. So I actually was incorrect. He hasn't spoken on what universe they're in. Just they're working on two new ones, and that it'll probably get announced. I think he said in 2028, so it'll be a minute.
Yeah, that's fair. Um, but yeah, those are good. CRPG wise, Pillars of Eternity is a classic. I mean, it's not a classic. It's still fresh, but it's like they're good.
Yeah, I've heard good things. I've
They're
got some
also
friends
they're
who've been
also deep.
recommending them to me.
They're also fairly deep compared to a lot of other examples. And then yeah, you got Alcat who sure do got bugs in their games. I haven't played any of the. Ironically, I haven't played any of their Pathfinder games.
Yeah, man, I really want to because I've heard like fantastic things about the story. But then at the same time, it's like I talked to my buddy who plays a ton of Owlcat games. Like she'll go back to them occasionally and just play those, which is nuts because those are fucking like 100-hour long story games. Um, but uh, she's like, I'd talked to her about the issue I had with Rogue Trader, and she's like, "Oh yeah, that happens sometimes. You just kind of have to deal with it."
You just deal with it, man. I don't know.
I'm like, man, I put 80 goddamn hours into this save file. I'd rather not just deal with it, actually. But it is what
Uh,
it is.
unfortunately, that's one of those genres where the bigger they are, it's like a Bethesda thing. It's gonna be, and now don't get me wrong, Outcast should fix those problems and should probably make sure that those kind of problems don't exist at all. But a game that big is inevitably gonna have something come up somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, I do have to give them some leeway too, because I know Owlcat doesn't have quite the budget Larian does. So,
No, they're like double A.
yeah, I think they're just barely not indie.
Uh, I didn't Rogue Trader technically have like a Kickstarter or something.
Yeah, it had a Kickstarter. In fact, I know it did because I supported it. Uh,
Okay, that'll do it. I need to go through that game too. I started a playthrough and I don't know why, but I just fumbled in the tutorial for like 2 hours. Like I grasped the concepts, but I just didn't. Right, I just fucked around for
right.
2 hours and then I just closed the game and didn't go back to it. I don't
Yeah,
know why.
I'll say it's a good game. It was really, really fun my first time through it. I that game breaking glitch, it literally cut me off, like cut me out of an entire character storyline that I just couldn't progress anymore. Uh, which sucked. But it's a good for it's good for a playthrough at least.
I have installed it right now. It's gonna be done eventually for sure. Especially since one of my tabletop games is a Rogue Trader
Right.
game. So I'm kind of invested in the universe now.
Yeah.
I just think it's funny that I got almost 3 hours in it. I don't have a single achievement.
That's kind of impressive, actually.
I told you I fucked around. Like there's like that opening fight where they teach you how to shoot and like use the aim mechanic. When you're like I don't even know how to explain it. You meet the one guy and he's talking to you, and then these dudes freak the fuck out. You shoot him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, and then I walked to like the command deck to talk to the Rogue Trader lady, who's like your boss. Uh, there's a fight that happens there, and I just walked around the fight, basically fucking around for 2 hours. Like I would die, reload, just do different shit, and I just never finished the fight.
That's kind of hilarious.
It was really funny. Um, excuse me. Sorry. I think those two are probably the big two that I can go over. Because I haven't played a ton else.
Sure,
Most
yeah.
of my other time, I've only been out of employment for 2 weeks, so most of the time was like Planescape, or like I've been playing stuff with friends too, but that's mostly the same stuff. Marvel Rivals, play a little bit of Deep Rock Galactic, Killing Floor, you know,
Yeah,
nothing
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, I've been playing a lot of a game I picked up recently, called well, I say recently, I guess it was fucking like a month ago now. Uh, but it's called Sulfur. I saw a video on it not long ago, and it looked really interesting. Basically, it's a roguelike. It's a roguelike where you go through different dungeons and you try to find like weapons and food ingredients and all that kind of stuff, and then you can extract and upgrade your guns and do all that kind of thing. But the gun upgrades are fucking wacky. Like the I think perhaps my favorite one is you can just like slap a barrel extension on something, literally anything, including like I don't know, a revolver or you can put a suppressor on a laser gun. I don't know why you would, but you could. Uh, and then there's the oils upgrade system, which is like you can put different like percentage effects on it, like plus. I know there's one of them that adds 13 bullet bounces at the cost of your bullet going slower.
I'm looking at screenshots, and one of the screenshots is this dude like aiming down like a crow or whatever. And it looks like he's got like a stripper clip fed revolver.
Yes, that's another thing is the gun designs. They infuriate me on several levels because they look so goddamn stupid, but they would absolutely work.
That's funny.
Uh,
I would. I'm gonna put this on my wish list. Actually, this looks kind of fire.
it's pretty dope. It's great for just like mindlessly playing in the background while you're doing something else.
This is what
Um,
bro's doing when we're playing RPGs.
sometimes if it's like, oh hey, there's a big like there's a dialogue happening that I'm not a part of and doesn't affect me, I'm just gonna boot this up real quick.
Bro rolls up and plays Sulfur while the Marvel group is talking.
Um, the yeah, the gun designs are like there's some that are normal, like there's just like a fucking Glock that you can find. Like obviously called something different because copyright, but you know, uh, and there's normal guns in there. It's just like there's also the sideways Garand or the perhaps the most cursed the revolver that rotates its cylinder vertically.
I don't like that.
No, it's pretty cursed, and the worst part is all of it would theoretically work. The only one that I can see like just completely not working is one where it's a shotgun where the more you pump it, the more bullets it shoots.
Yeah,
Uh, that one's
this
a
looks
little
pretty
far-fetched,
good.
but everything else is pretty dope. Basically, the gameplay loop is you go into a dungeon, you get guns, you get armor, you get food ingredients, you leave the dungeon halfway through, and you make new food stuff because food is how you heal, and it gives you some effects. And then you go back into the dungeon with your upgraded guns and new food, and if you beat a boss, you unlock the next area. Uh, and there's, I think, 6 areas currently, and they're still adding more. Uh, and man, let me tell you, it is fucking brutal. Like I've had some pretty meta, like well, not meta. There's not like a dedicated meta, but I've had some really strong builds, and I just straight up could not get through a boss for a while. And the hard part is when you die, you lose your entire inventory. So all your
That
upgraded
looks
guns, all your food, all your armor, it's just gone.
that does look neat. Not even that pricey. 25 bucks ain't too bad.
No, just
I
it's
will.
super worth the price tag. My rule of thumb is however many dollars it costs, I want that many hours of gameplay out of it before I get bored, and it more than fulfilled that.
That's crazy. Oh boy, that metric's getting hard to maintain, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Especially with man, I speaking of that, it's one game that I really fucking want to play, but I haven't had the chance to because I'm a broke bitch. Is Battlefield 6 because I played the beta and I've heard really good things about the full release, and I just have not had the chance to play it yet because, as aforementioned, I'm a broke bitch.
I also want to play that, especially now that I found out it's got crossplay,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
means I
yeah.
can play it on my console like the plebeian I am and still play with the people who played it on PC.
Yup. Yeah, and
But
it looks so good.
damn, they want me to pay fucking $70 for that? You crazy? I don't got that kind of money.
Yeah, no, that's crazy.
Like I had to pick the PlayStation. They're charging me $1 million fucking dollars.
Yeah, and it's like it sucked because I played the beta and the beta was actually so fun. Probably the most fun I've had in like an online shooter game in a long time.
It looks good. I like the. I've always liked the scale of those games. But I had a lot of issues with uh like a lot of the ones in between now and 4 probably. Even then, I liked 3 more than 4. Um, so I just kind of took my leave of online shooters entirely for a while, actually.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've heard that. I mean, it's got like very positive on Steam. It's the first Battlefield game in a long time, as far as I'm aware, to have very positive on Steam. So it seems like they've gone on
I've heard
launch to
nothing but good
clarify.
things.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about how this one came out. Other than the campaign's not that great, but
it's a Battlefield game.
I don't know what the fuck you're expecting. Not one of these games is a good campaign, so I don't know what you want.
It's a Battlefield game. You
the
play the
only the
campaign to
only
get like
the only
achievements.
Battlefield games with good campaigns are Bad Company, and those are I don't want to talk about how old those are.
I'm not gonna say anything on that one. Um,
You were a baby.
Probably. Yeah, it looks really good. I want to play it, but I am poor, so unfortunately I
Same.
can't speak to. Which is ironic, given that we're talking about like new games and shit, and neither of us have played probably the biggest release
Of the year
recently.
so far.
Yeah,
Yeah, at least at the quarter. Yeah,
yeah,
no.
definitely.
And it drives me crazy because Stark keeps talking about it. I'm like, motherfucker.
Dude, I swear to God, if that motherfucker. Listen, I know it doesn't have a good story, but I want to play through it blind anyway. If that motherfucker spoils the story for me, I'm going to kill someone.
I know you're listening to this, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, we know you listen to this shit while you're doing art. If you spoil that, I'm gonna find you.
I'll beat your ass. um, but no, yeah, he's got to play that lucky son of a bitch. I'm definitely interested in playing it, especially if I can. I don't really play multiplayer games by myself, so if I can get some of you guys together at some point and play it, I'll definitely want to check it out. Because fuck,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know I've got a couple of friends who also want the game, but are similarly broke bitch. So it's the kind of thing where play it when I can, I guess.
yeah, I don't think that one's gonna die anytime soon. So,
No, no, I don't think it will.
um, and then yeah, I mean that's mostly what I've been doing. Playing. Oh, we've been this whole server where I've been playing a lot of Helldivers.
Yeah,
You and I
yeah,
included off and on. We've been on a kick with that shit.
yeah. I don't play it as much as I used to, but I do definitely still play it pretty frequently.
And it's been kicking off in our server here, so we both just kind of been re-recruiting at times to
Yeah,
dive back in.
yeah. Man, I really think that so they're working on a 60-day plan basically to fix uh, the very many issues that they're having with performance right now. Uh, so there's not going to be a lot of content that's new for a while, which really sucks because I think they're in a stage right now where they need to add new content.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. The
like
easy answer is to like remix existing content to offer like an alternative, like a. It's like this gun, but here's these changes that make it wacky. You know.
Yeah, yeah. Or like I think what they listen, the Illuminate has been out for fucking like months at this point and there's still no new enemies. Like come on, guys. I know they're in the files. I've seen the leaks. I know they're there. Release them.
Uh, but on the bright side, there being a slowdown on content gives me time to catch the fuck up a little bit.
True. Yeah, it definitely there's especially for like new players and returning players, there is so much bullshit that has happened with like war bonds and all that.
I've been running around with a portable napalm launcher, which is great because that's my gimmick.
True. You like setting things on fire and it's
I
sometimes
love setting things on fire.
sometimes it's convenient.
Now that they've introduced that fire assault rifle, that gimmick's gotten to hit the middle ground between um, funny and reckless, but also I can make it effective if I need to lock the fuck in.
Oh yeah, no, dude, the coyote is fucking
The
incredible.
Coyote is spectacular, dude. The fire safety officer went to a bit that works in the right circumstances to it's a bit that works in most circumstances.
Yeah, no, the coyote is like probably the single best assault rifle in the game right now. Please don't nerf, I beg of you. Uh, and it's just fun to use. Like it's probably the most fun weapon I've used yet.
I
Uh,
have a blast with it. It's also just generally powerful enough that I could still pull it out against enemies that like don't like that resist or at least are passive to fire. I can still put them down. It doesn't matter.
yeah, yeah. I remember that thing carried me through when we first it had those tunnel missions with the bugs. That shit
Yeah,
carried me so hard through those missions, man. Oh my
I've
goodness.
been rocking that. I still haven't found a handgun I like, like a secondary I like a lot in that game. There's
The
some that are like good enough, but I haven't found one that really speaks to me.
Yeah, yeah. I've had really good luck with the Talon. It's that's my personal favorite secondary. Usually I'll either bring the Talon or the grenade pistol, just depending on what mission I'm doing. Uh, but the Talon, it's really good for just like, oh, hey, there's a couple of chaff enemies. I don't want to waste my ammo. I'm just gonna pull out my Talon and take care of that real quick. And also I like just snapshotting the Devastators from time to time.
But I mean, I'm sure they'll figure something out. My thought process would be so you don't have to spend resources that you need to spend elsewhere, like fully remodeling something. Just maybe like a tweaked or a new texture and tweak some gameplay elements of certain guns and give them like an alternative version just to give something new while you're fixing your core engine and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And plus, if I recall, Liberty Day is coming up, so hang on. Uh, yeah, I think it's like later this month, actually. Yeah, October 26th.
I know that kind of like just remixing existing weapons is usually considered lazy, but I think under the circumstances it's completely reasonable.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Especially if they're like added for free or at a much reduced cost compared to like completely new content.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think they could do something really good with that if they just release a bunch of shit with on Liberty Day, because they had a history in Helldivers 1 of releasing new DLC content on Liberty Day. Uh, so maybe they'll do something there. Maybe they'll just let it pass. I think that would be a mistake, but maybe they'll do it anyway. I don't know.
Drop one more huge ball of content to cover for the next 60 days.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I think they're like 20 days into this point, but
Well, by then they'd only have to cover like 30 days. So,
true. Yeah, only like one more month.
speaking of this month, I have the impending, encroaching, I'm going to be older this month day, and I'm horrified.
Oh, are you? When's that?
It's on the 31st.
Oh, you got a Halloween birthday? That's kind of
I
sick,
got a, I got a,
actually.
I got a Halloween birthday. It was less sick when I was younger because then it was always like about Halloween, and I was just like, I was born today too. But
Right.
when you become an adult, holiday birthdays tend to be a lot more cool. At least probably not Christmas and Thanksgiving birthdays, but like the rest of the holidays. Because then it turns into people are doing shit anyway, so you don't have to plan anything. You just go somewhere.
True.
You're just
Yeah.
like, yeah, oh, you're doing a Halloween party, and they're like, yeah, we're also will celebrate your birthday while you're there, whatever. And I was like, it's like fuck yeah.
Hell yeah.
But given the kind of things I enjoy, it's a very fitting birthday to have.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think we've yapped for about half an hour now, so that segues very nicely into the theme, which is
Yes.
shockingly horror, given
Uh, instead of a bunch of small questions, we just kind of settled on like we had two people suggest, and so we settled on just kind of tackling different spooky things we enjoy in a vague sense, and whatever happens with that is what happens with that.
yeah. I mean, I've got a lot to
I,
say about video games, but I feel like we should probably cover tabletop shit first, because I know
yeah,
I,
there's less
I
of that.
I have personal experience attesting to the fact that you're fucking good at horror
Oh,
tabletop.
oh,
You
hell yeah.
bastard.
Okay, well, before we do that, I thought it might be appropriate to maybe address like our interest or experience in the genre as a whole, how much we like it, how much we don't like it, whatever, that kind of thing.
Sure, yeah.
Because it's the first time we've ever talked about just a specific genre entirely, which gives us the segue to talk about our experiences with it as a whole.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I guess I can start that off because mine's a lot shorter. Partially because, haha, you're old.
I'm gonna die. Well, was it? Was it one of you guys who said like I'm coming up on the great debuff or whatever?
Yeah, the great debuff. Yep, yep, yep. I think it was.
Uh,
I think it was. Was that Hunter?
I think that was Hunter.
Yeah.
He was like, "You're just a few years off from the great debuff." And I was unpleased with that sentence.
Yeah. Yeah, so my experience with horror, I haven't played a whole lot of horror games. I've played a little bit of Resident Evil Village at a friend's house. I played all of Alien Isolation, which I'll fucking yap about later.
Oh, I'll glaze that game too. Don't worry.
I've played I mean, obviously, like games like Phasmophobia, some of the like multiplayer horror games.
Yeah.
I haven't watched a whole lot of horror movies. I watched one a while back that was really, really good, and I can't remember the name of it. But it was basically the theme of it was a about like a family in the Middle East, who like a jinn, were being haunted by a jinn, and it's super good. Uh,
Okay.
and I've watched all the Alien movies because I fucking adore that universe. Including the new one. Fantastic movie, by the way. Oh my god. Uh, but yeah, I'm honestly, as much as I love horror, I've ironically not actually done a whole lot with it.
Uh, I love the genre a lot. Um, I've had off and on experiences with it basically my entire life. When I was really young, one of my older cousins played a lot of the horror games that I ended up loving when I got older. My I don't even know how to address this. My biological dad made me watch a lot of horror movies when I was a kid. Uh, so when I got older, I just kind of started doing that on my own. Um, and as I got older, especially in the high school, I just like full force into the genre. Um, I spent most of like high school and my early college days just watching a bunch of horror movies, playing a bunch of horror games, and now it's just kind of become part of my routine. Um, as I'm sure you will hear him, Tele attest to in a bit here. The influences I get from horror is like pretty much on the sleeve on that one. Like I don't even hide what horror things I like when I do
Yeah,
anything
yeah,
horror
yeah.
related because I don't know why I'd want to hide my influences in that respect.
Yeah, that like I feel like with horror especially, wearing the influences is kind of like good. Like it makes it better.
Yeah, I think with horror, like wearing your influences on your sleeve lets people kind of know the angle you're coming from and kind of know like what your approach is, which is both good and bad. And when I do like a fantasy thing or a sci-fi thing, it's still there, but I do more to differentiate it. Whereas opposed to horror, it's kind of that's one of those genres where like the imitation is flattery thing is like a positive instead of a negative.
Right, yeah.
Because a great way to build on horror is to take established concepts and then play with them and do your own thing with them in a way that other genres are more prone to not do, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
uh, so yeah. I mean, basically, I like horror a lot. I've done a lot with it. For a long time, it was all I did, for the most part. As far as video games and stuff go, um, not all, but it was a lot. Um, so now we get to the part where you talk up my DMing for the next 20 minutes. I'm here for it. Let's go.
Yeah,
My ego
so
needs this. Let's get it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So currently, for context, for those of you who aren't also in the campaign, we're playing a Call of Cthulhu game, uh, set in I was 1998,
7.
97, right? And it is like we had a session just recently, and fucking hell, man, he's so. For context, the town we're in is a little town. It's called Harper's Bluff, and basically, there's some fuck shit going on. The town has a mine near it that was having some problems, and then things kept happening. Someone's brother went missing, and we're currently looking for them. Uh, and apparently we keep stumbling into this like other world, and it's essentially like the other world is our world but really fucked up. So there's like barbed wire and grates on the ground, and it's like basically an industrial horror show, uh but like nature, and it's really 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 weird. um but yeah, like his monster design and all that shit is really good. I think my favorite part about that kind of horror is that the set pieces almost take care of it themselves. Like, I mean, obviously you do a great job with the story because, there's a whole thing about twins and like siblings and things going missing and change and all that. But like the monsters and the environmental design do a lot of the work for you without even having to like establish any like, oh, this is horror. For example, one of the monsters we fought last session was a person that had been warped into the shape of a pig. Uh, and I mean, I couldn't describe it in its entirety. So if you want to take that one away, you can give a good picture of that, I think.
Mm, asking me, I remember how I described that shit like it wasn't 2 days ago. um, um, let's see, what did I say? It's got like so the body that turned into the pig had no head, and then the shoulders and the shoulder blades had kind of puffed out and elongated forward to kind of mimic the shape of a head, with all the horrifying like crackling and snapping you can imagine from that circumstance. The arms and the legs had kind of uh, straightened out in the fashion that pig legs do. Because pigs don't really have like the like dogs have like the backwards knees, right? And other animals do, but pigs are just kind of straightened out for the most part. So they had that going on, and then the hands and the feet had morphed together, not together. The hands, like the fingers, had morphed into form kind of the digigrade hoof, uh, and the vertebrae had malformed long enough to resemble kind of like a tusk.
Yeah.
Uh,
So,
and this thing ostensibly couldn't see, but was walking around somehow producing a squealing noise despite having no actual head.
yeah. And somehow miraculously, despite my character being 65, I managed to get out of that fight unscathed. Uh,
Rolled,
I'm told the rest
rolled
of the
good.
party was not so lucky.
Uh, I think they mostly got hurt in their escape and didn't actually get hurt by the pig.
Right. Well, that's
But
good
still,
at
yeah,
least.
yeah, the pig actually didn't actually get a hit on anybody, as far as I remember.
Well, yeah, I
It
think
was
that's
mostly
mostly
just
because the general consensus on that was holy shit, fuck that.
yeah. None of you have seen a monster and are like, yeah, I'm gonna square up. Which, fair enough, actually.
Yeah.
Because considering anytime somebody has been hit by a monster, it did like over half their HP in one go. Because Call of Cthulhu.
Right, yeah, it's in Call of Cthulhu. And man, let me tell you, seeing the damage numbers for some of those monsters, my poor old character with his 8 HP is not gonna do well.
Yeah, I rolled it. It's not technically how damage works in the system, but I generalize the monsters by rolling a d8 for the most part. Uh, so
Yeah,
I think all of them have the capacity to one shot everybody.
yeah, with the exception of maybe John Church. John Church is kind of built,
I
but
don't I don't know what John Church's HP is like. I haven't had to. I haven't. He has remained remarkably out of the way of danger for
it's,
a guy whose entire shtick is rolls up with gun.
yeah, for a guy who's like, no offense to the player, later literally just like one of the Winchesters, basically.
He's just one of the Winchester boys. Yeah, that's all right. I'll isolate him at some point too. It'll happen.
It'll happen. I'm sure it will.
I
Um,
actually really like my other monster design. I introduced three that session, but the second one, no, the pig I'd introduced the week before, so I guess I only introduced two. But the one that I introduced in the school that week is
oh,
probably my favorite design so far.
was that the Slinky Arms?
The Slinky arms, yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah. You want to talk about those?
I really like Slinky arms. And I was talking to one of the other players about because uh, typically with horror, you don't want to reveal too much about your design ideas until it's all said and done. But this group, I don't really care because we're just kind of hanging out. So I was talking with the players about a lot of my like inspirations that like I know what they are and I'm wearing them on my sleeve, but I'm more tapped into this genre than I would reasonably say most of you guys are. Not in like a derogatory way. I just obsess over this genre a lot, so I've got a lot of
Right, right.
obscure uh, influences from like 20 years ago. um, fuck. So I took inspiration from um, like like Japanese folklore. I had like the shrine maidens in my mind when I was talking about this character, when I described them to everybody, and when I came up with the monster. So it's got like a hunched over uh humanoid woman figure with like it looks like it's got a robe with the big oversized sleeves. And the sleeves drag behind them when they walk, and they're dragging something behind them the entire time. The first thing the players heard is the sound of something dragging. Um, and when they approached the thing and got a look at it, it had no skin on its face or any other part of the front side that they could see. But it had maintained its hair, which had functionally grown down inward into like the musculature, which is probably not biologically correct, but fuck you. That's what I had to say about that. Um, um, and then as they looked over the rest of this thing, like its eyes were still there and all its muscle and bone were still there, but no skin. And they looked down, and what it was dragging behind it is all of the skin it had dragging behind it, kind of like sleeves or a tube behind it for each arm. And one player turned a corner to get a good look at it and looked right at its face and didn't realize it saw them at first, but then as they got a closer look, could see its eyes staring right at them.
Yeah, so
Uh,
fucked, basically. Ugh.
uh, that one hit. People liked that one.
Yeah, that one was wacky.
Wacky.
Wacky inflatable, wacky wavy inflatable tube man.
Inflatable tube man. Yeah. Yeah. And that was fun because no one's actually faced direct danger from this thing yet. It's so slow that they've been able to pretty handily avoid it. Uh, which I just want you to realize, and all you guys who are in that game who are listening to this right now, I want you to realize what that must mean for if it does catch you.
Yep, any slow monster is gonna hurt if it catches you. That's just kind of a good rule of thumb.
So that's been fun, and anyone who plays a lot of games or movies and horror movies and games and stuff can probably tell what I draw a lot of this stuff from. Uh, the Other World is Silent Hill inspired. The way I designed the Other World is Silent Hill 1 inspired. For the most part, I have my own twists in there. Like the red lighting is kind of just a me thing. Um,
Yes, the
um,
other world that the party has so affectionately named Detroit.
there's a blue lighting too, but you guys haven't fucked with that too much yet. So,
No, no, not really.
um, and then like yeah, the barbed wire and stuff is kind of Silent Hill 1E. Anyone who's played enough horror games might recognize that I drew some plot inspiration from certain Fatal Frame games. And if you don't know what that is, don't look into it player wise because you might spoil yourself.
Of course,
But
yeah.
anyone who isn't a player in my game is interested in some good horror games. Fatal Frame 2 is one of the best horror games I've ever played. Um, so I got that going on, and then it's the general mystery vibe. I also had a small PT inspired section because I sure was in high school when that came out.
Yeah, I remember that. Not when it came out, obviously, but
Shut up.
I've gotta get them in sometimes, man.
Oh man. So yeah, my horror obsession got to funnel itself in somewhere, and I guess it's working out because uh spooky.
Can confirm, very spooky.
And that's not to mention, there's been more psychological elements. The radios have been a lot of fun for playing with people with that one.
Yeah. So, for context for those who aren't in that game, the radios, because a lot of the party doesn't have a phone, so we've been using radios to communicate over distance. Uh, and sometimes those radios just kind of don't work how they're supposed to. Uh, for example, like in the last session, my character was trying to communicate with the rest of the party, and he heard the voice of someone, like of one of the party members, asking, like, "Hey, is anyone alive out there?" And then that just kept repeating, and then my character found himself in the other world. So this is a lot of stuff like that that's inconvenient, to say the least.
Inconvenient. I love whenever I drop that because the guys who keep their cameras on, I just see their face just kind of drop a little bit when they're like, "Fuck."
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I know what that means.
If I recall correctly, in the last one, when that happened to my character, M's face kind of went, "Oh, god damn it!"
Yeah, it did. uh, the funnest part about writing horror is like the the reactions. I love getting to see everybody's reactions in anything I run when I drop like an oh shit moment, but in horror it's more constant because everyone's already just kind of on edge and you never know when something is
Yeah.
going to turn into an oh shit moment. And I get to pull the rug out and make seemingly mundane moments turn into very not fun, very not safe, not so mundane moments for the
Yup.
characters. So I'll catch people like laughing about some joke we made, and then suddenly they're like, "Wait, what the fuck?"
You are fond of doing that. Yeah, I horror in like tabletops is always difficult to pull off right, and I think Call of Cthulhu obviously naturally lends itself to that, but you've also just been fucking nailing that. Uh,
It's a tough balance because the worst stuff there's no adequate way to visualize with like what would I have to do? Pay out the ass for dozens of commissions for every monster I've come up with? Which if I could, don't get me wrong, I would, right? But that's not economical.
yeah,
Right.
as mentioned previously, we're both suffering from broke bitch syndrome, so
We're both aggressively broke bitches right now. So it's a real testament, like a real test of like, 'cause I run most of my games theater of the mind. I'm lazy. Is the short of it. I don't like making maps as much as I could, and I don't really think everything needs a map anyways, right? So it's been a real testament to like uh, descriptive language. Because in a fantasy game or like our superhero game, I can kind of be more lax with what I'm describing. I'm just like, yeah, that's a building, whatever. Like, yeah, that's a skyscraper. You got to get the picture. I don't got to be too specific. But running Call of Cthulhu, especially in this context where it's entirely homebrewed setting, there's no. I'm using the system, but I'm not using the lore. Like, I'm not using any Lovecraft lore or anything like that. So everything I'm describing per my own creation. So my descriptive language has to come out more when I'm describing monsters and environments and that kind of thing. So details that I would normally gloss over, I can't
right, yeah.
to set the mood more than anything. Because I could just as easily have been like, "Yeah, you're in a fucked up little dimension," and moved on with my life, but it doesn't get the picture across, and that doesn't bring the tension that you need to.
Yeah, because that's a lot of horror is just like the set piece.
Yeah, the environment, all the best horror stuff that gives time for it to settle in, and like you talked about Alien, and in the first like hour and a half of that movie is just set dressing this claustrophobic environment. So when stuff goes wrong, you already have a sense of dread just by looking at what's around you, and delivering that entirely through narration is actually a lot of fun, but does require uh, more more effort, not effort, more focus than I usually give environment. Because like when I share my fantasy homebrew setting, there's important environments I explain in particular, but by and large, I can still just be like, you know what a fantasy village looks like. I can
Right,
say that
yeah.
word, and you got an image in your head. But if I tell you you're in a dimension that is combining industrial things with nature, that could mean a bunch of stuff.
Right,
You
or
could
like
interpret
the
that so many
description.
ways.
Yeah, or like the description of the pig monster. It's like, man, that could be a lot of things, but it
Yeah,
has a
if I
specific
just said
image.
pig monster, you could think like the Amnesia 2 pig monsters, which are pig monsters, but are not what my pig monster looks like. It's not how my pig monster behaves. So it gives you just the wrong impression unless I spent the like 2 or 3 minutes I spent explaining how the fucking pig monster looks and how it's moving. Uh,
Horrific, by the way.
but it's same token. It, damn right, I try. Uh, it's actually a lot of fun getting to put more focus into that in times when it's appropriate because one of the points with the fantasy thing is like I don't need to necessarily explain what a fantasy village looks like because I'm just gonna end up explaining exactly what you're picturing, and then you'll be like, yeah, whatever, I get it. Like that slows down the pace in a way I think is unnecessary. And my fantasy setting isn't widely different enough on its small scale or on a big scale. It's not widely different enough in those details for me to want to spend time on that.
Yeah.
The things that are different in that are more cultural in that setting than they are like actual like look. So I don't have to spend time, but getting to actually like slowly explain things and hammer the tension with these fucked up environments and getting to put my wannabe writer language to work has been fun.
Yeah. I think the environment's a huge part of it. I have just recently started running a game for some folks where I go to school. Uh, and it's not quite like it's not nearly as much of a dedicated horror game as your Call of Cthulhu game is. Uh, but it's got some pretty psychological and like horror-y elements. Basically, it's so for context, it's one of the players' literal first time playing like any tabletop game. So I wanted to make a very localized and small scale campaign that would like not take a long time.
Yeah.
Uh, so what I ended up doing is basically the party has ended up trapped in something called the Cloakwood, which is kind of like the Feywild. I described it as it's like an endless alpine forest that like an endless alpine forest. There's no snow, but it is like the pines and kind of the low fog and the rolling hills and all that kind of stuff. Uh, and it's constantly just before the sun rises. So it's like kind of light, but not quite, and there's kind of like an all permeating grayness to it. Uh, and the big thing about this place is that nothing changes ever. So if like you die or quote unquote die, you don't actually die. Like your body can get damaged, but your soul will never leave the body. So they were attacked by a bunch of undead in the last session, and it turns out those aren't undead. Those are just people who've gone insane from the stuff that they're dealing with.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
and they found this out after one of the party members, who is a druid, ate one of the undead. The undead
Oh.
turned into goo, basically. And then the NPC, who's kind of like he showed up and is like giving them the lowdown on what's going on, is like, oh yeah, by the way, that guy's not dead. Like he's still in there. Uh,
Just chilling.
Oh no, I will admit shamelessly that your depiction of Motley in the first part of like the like early game Motley has forever changed how I run like slightly villainous NPCs.
Oh yeah.
Uh, so he was like, "Oh yeah, no, he's experiencing extreme agony right now. Like he's in pain." Uh, but yeah, so the theme of the campaign is that they have to go and destroy four pillars that are keeping all of this up, like all this like the field around the Cloakwood up.
Yeah.
Uh, and what they don't know yet is that the reason that the Cloakwood enchantment is there is because buried, like trapped underneath the forest, is a god of chaos. Not like the 40k kind, but like literal chaos, like change.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as they start destroying these pillars, he's gonna start talking to them like, "Hey, you guys want out, right?" Uh,
Oh, yeah, there you
obviously,
go.
obviously a little bit more intimidating than that, but yeah, and then the party will have to make a decision like, "Hey, are we gonna let this guy out so we can leave, or are we gonna stay here forever and keep this guy contained?"
Deuces.
Uh, and the thing they're gonna find out, I'm fairly certain none of them are gonna find this fucking podcast, so it's fine. Um, the thing that they're gonna find out is that, oh hey, this Mr. Skeleton Man, who's the NPC, he's actually trying to free this thing, and he doesn't really care that it's probably gonna like lay waste to the world once it gets out, because he's been here for like a long time. So it'll give him a fun little conundrum to deal with. Overall, it's not going to be a super difficult campaign, but it's I tried to lean really heavy into the kind of like horror and dread of realizing that you're trapped here and you literally can't leave even if you die.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's cool. Um, that's I mean, I don't think that's not even entirely dissimilar to the kind of dread that I feel like my campaign's kind of eliciting. Just the like, you really don't get a choice on what's going on as far as the like. Suddenly you're here, and who knows if you can even get out half the time. Like
Yeah,
every time you guys have gotten out of the other world, it's mostly been coincidence, or at
yeah,
least
yeah, yeah,
seemingly
yeah.
random.
And I feel like that's a big part of a lot of horror is like, yeah, you don't really have a choice for a lot of it.
Yeah, that is definitely a big component. Is like it's an interesting balance as far as running a tabletop because part of the fun is like the player choice matters, but also you're playing a horror game, so your choice kind of doesn't matter sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah,
But
no,
I think a good balance for that, which you found pretty well, is like letting the players control what they can and making it clear what they can't.
yeah, I've never had anybody assume that they can get out of the world. Everyone's pretty clear that it's like we're just kind of here until we're not, so let's do what we can do here, and then hope we get out sometime or another. I think the clearest moment of that was just the other day when like everyone finally reconverged in the other world and was like, well, we're here and we know there's this fucked up weird building over here. It might have answers. We might as well go check it while we're here.
Yeah,
Which
yeah. Oh, sorry, you go ahead.
no, that was just gonna say like, which is kind of the balance. Like you have complete control over what you do wherever you're at, but where you're at and what's around you is a lot more locked in than say when I'm running like a fantasy game.
Right, yeah. It's definitely a hard balance to find, but I think you've done it well. I've seen it done not well before in some of the campaigns I've played, where it's like, okay, well at this point I'm just watching a cutscene.
I try real hard to make it so a lot of my influence as a DM is also funneled in universe. That's why almost every campaign I run has at least one like dedicated NPC who just kind of hangs out with you guys. Because then I can kind of exert influence more casually. Uh, if I want to throw an idea out there, even whether it's correct or incorrect, I could have an NPC be like, "Well, here's something to consider." Whether or not you follow through with that doesn't matter. It's just I have a character there, and things I want can be kind of filtered through the universe instead of me just being like, well, I'm gonna be God now.
Right, yeah, yeah. It's a good way to kind of like guide the campaign, quote unquote, without railroading.
Yep. And it's always filtered through like this character is this way, so they would offer this thing, and that's not necessarily even the correct thing. It's just an option that I'm presenting. So if you guys are lost, you have a path to follow. Which is why literally every campaign I've run for you, at least you in that group, has had like a that I just like having characters to be. I just like playing as characters. it's just fun.
It's crazy, almost like it's a fucking role playing game.
I'm big on characters. I'm big on having characters. I'm big on characterization. So I always have at least one kind of centralized NPC. A couple of campaigns have cycled through a couple.
Jim, my goat.
Uh, he wasn't even intentional, man. That just happened to me. That just landed in my lap. Uh, Ryder was the intended one for that campaign.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so I can prevent a lot of too much railroading that way, and uh, just the way things are set up. Set up like in general in the Call of Cthulhu campaign just inherently has limitations that have been kind of picked up on by the players without me having to even say a thing. Like you guys have no idea how the other world works, but you sure as hell know you don't have a way out of it.
Yep. We get out when whatever the fuck controls it decides we can get out.
So
Yeah.
that's been fun. Running that's been a lot of fun. I've gotten to flex muscles I don't usually get to flex with that. It's I think it's one of my favorite campaigns I've run, at least so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely it's definitely up there as far as like just generally campaigns I've played.
It's one of the few where I feel like I've knocked my intended purpose out of the park with it from like session one.
Yeah, definitely. I think my my favorite part about that whole campaign is that like my character, he's an old like retired mob boss. Uh, was adamant that magic wasn't real and that everyone was stupid. And then he got sucked into the other world and he's like, okay, this is real. Maybe I should do something about this.
His flip was funny because it was just suddenly like, oh, I guess it's real. Now I'm going to figure out how I can deal with that, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. And I wanted to stick with the like, oh, magic's not real for as long as I could. And then you just kind of slap me in the face and is like, nope, you're there now.
Yeah, some of that is, admittedly, some of that is just my own taste in media where I don't like getting bogged down in the skepticism too much.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair.
I feel like a prologue, like, skepticism is good insofar as it helps characterization and a story, but I feel like a lot of stories get bogged down in that skepticism too much. Where it's like, hey, we've been at this for like 45 minutes, is like a film, right? We've been at this for like 45 minutes. Blatantly horrific shit's happened. Let's just lock in.
Yeah.
And we've already got another character who is intentionally illogically locked in on that skepticism. So having another character who was skeptical and now is like, well, I can't be skeptical anymore is good.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, I assume you're talking about Silas?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Man, that's been a lot of fun. Like from an in character perspective, kind of infuriating, but out of character, holy fuck, that's funny.
I got to the thing you absolutely love to see in a horror set, like the party like argued for like 10 real world minutes in character, um which well on one hand is like uh, as the viewer my head's like fuck guys come on lock in, but as the DM running this it's like oh I've succeeded in ratcheting tension to the point where these guys are just irrationally arguing about shit that does not matter right now. Slinky Arms is right there. There are weird ghouls in the woods behind you. What are you doing?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh man, I remember that. I was like trying so hard to not interrupt the roleplay moment, but at the same time, holy fuck, guys, there's things. Yeah, yeah. It's difficult to pull off horror in a tabletop setting just because of like you were saying, you as the DM have to describe everything, but I think you've found a good balance.
I sure do try.
Yeah.
I'm pretty proud of how this campaign's gone so far.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned it earlier, but do you want to talk at all about like your because you mentioned the ones that inspired the campaign or at least influenced it, but do you want to talk about like some of your favorite horror games? Just
I
kind of in
could
general.
do that. I've got a lot. I'll start the one that I know we've already talked about both liking. Uh, Alien Isolation is fantastic.
Oh man, yeah. It's I actually have a story about that. So
Pop off.
a couple years back, I think I was in like junior year of high school, if I recall. I was like I had just got an Oculus for Christmas, and I was so fucking stoked. Uh, and a friend said, "Hey, you know that game that you bought a while back and you haven't played yet? It's Alien Isolation. It has a VR mode." Uh, and I said, "That sounds fucking horrific." And he said, "Yeah, I'll pay you $50 if you play through all of it."
A
And so I obviously did that because $50 is a lot of money for me. Uh,
lot of money for me too.
yeah, yeah. Well, it was then, and it still is now, Lamau. Um, so I obviously did. Worst fucking decision of my life playing through that VR the first time. Because the VR, while it is a little bit like weird with, it's a little bit disconcerting. Just as far as like the movement's a little bit janky because it wasn't designed for VR. Uh, but the horror itself, I've never been quite as terrified as I was hiding under a desk in VR and an alien walks past. Um,
Yeah.
but I sure did get that $50. So
Um, I like that game a lot, and the horror aspects of that game I think are perfect. Um, I think that game nails the horror parts of that franchise very well. My problems with that game lie in the back half from a game perspective and not a horror perspective. The last third of that game is ass. I do not like
yeah,
the last third of that game. Everything from the point where you seemingly have defeated the alien, and then there's something like surprise. There's a bunch of them, and you're like, "That's a really cool reveal." The gameplay sucks now.
yeah, yeah. It definitely struggled from there.
It was like 2 hours, 3 hours too long, probably.
I think it definitely did overstay its welcome a little bit. I think it had a really good. I feel like the bait, not the bait and switch. That's not the right word for it, but like the fake ending, the fake out ending was where the ending could have been quite easily.
Yeah. I think my thought is basically the reveal of the fake out is super cool. Like the
Yeah,
oh shit, there's a whole nest in here. Stick reveal. It's just delivered in a way that made the game feel like it was padded to be an extra 3 hours long when there already could have been an ending. Especially because, from my memory, the point where the game ends anyways could have been reached at the same point where the game fake outs your ending. Because the ultimate end point is that Amanda is floating in space, right? Am I correct? It's been a while.
I believe so. It's been a while since I played it too. If I recall correctly, obviously spoilers. If I recall correctly, it ends with like you escape on a ship. There's an alien on that ship, so you vent yourself and the alien into space.
Yes. And then the like fake out point is like you basically fent one of the aliens itself, right? Like there's an explosion and shit happens like that anyways.
I think so. Yeah.
So we could have pushed the actual ending to where the fake out was more or less and achieved the same goal without the extra 3 hours that only added like one oh fuck reveal.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I think okay, so kind of on that, the floating out in space thing, that's like the big horror of Alien to me. Like the aliens are spooky, don't get me wrong, but the big horror of it is that like yeah, you are literally there is nothing you can do, and that is so fucking scary, kind of on that like
Yeah.
taking away the choice option.
Yeah. It's that franchise especially at its best accomplishes the helplessness by the fact that you're in the fucking void of space. So even if you had a way to fucking leave, you, you don't really.
Yeah, yeah.
9 times out of 10, even the characters who find a way to leave just end up in a smaller box with the same fucking monster.
Yep, that's actually like a super I love that recurring theme. I think that's done so well. through like all the movies and whatnot.
Yeah. Uh, as far as movies go, the way Romulus does that is sick as fuck.
True.
I don't know if you've seen that one or not, but fuck.
I believe I have. That's the new one, right?
That's the newest one, yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, that is sick. Anyway, Isolation, 10 out of 10 on the horror, probably like 7 out of 10 just because of the last 3 hours or so. Um, and then my other complaints with it are just like personal things where I personally started to get a little frustrated with like on the higher difficulties, the alien is almost too smart for the game to be fun sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
which is basically like skill issue. Like, get good, I get it, but like, you know, I'm a grown adult with a lot of responsibilities. Maybe I just shouldn't be playing games on hard anymore. Then I don't know. That fucker is too smart in the
No,
context of this being a
it's
video game for me to have fun.
yeah, yeah. I love the AI of the alien and the fact that it like learns from your playstyle. That's so cool to me. But at the
It's
same
super
time,
impressive.
yeah, at the same time on some of the higher difficulties, it's like, man, this has kind of stopped being learning and started being like input reading.
Like I'm just not having fun now. uh, that's one of those few times where I'm like, yeah, that game's almost more fun on like the lower difficulties because the horror is basically intact. But I can play the video game, and even on like the easier difficulties, that game is still challenging.
Yeah, yeah, and I think honestly, part of what detracts so much from horror in general is, and I actually I see this specifically with like Minecraft quote unquote horror mods, where they see the horror as just, oh, it kills you. Like no, as soon as a monster kills you, it takes all of the scariness away from it.
uh, part of the horror is like, because like I don't know how to put it, like right, there's a reason why like dying in like an action movie or an action game or whatever isn't scary because you're dead and it's over, right? Like whatever. Uh, Part of the horror is also like the fight to survive because that's sometimes more torturous than just dying.
Right, yeah.
So the kill is like you're saying like that's the payoff to a build up, and if that build up is ignored or foregone because your game's so difficult that you die a lot, or your payoff is like 2 seconds of a mod and then there's nothing else there, then like you don't get the build up. There's a reason why there's only been 2 instances in my campaign where a monster has actually hit anybody, and uh, no one's actually died yet.
Yeah, yeah. It's like I feel like I have this gripe with a lot because I play a lot of Minecraft with some of my other friend groups, and it's like, hey, we should try this horror mod, and then we play the horror mod, and it's like, oh, it's a monster that follows you and then yells at you, runs at you, and kills you, and that's the whole thing. It's like, okay, well, that was maybe scary for like 20 minutes, and then I died to it for the fifth time trying to get my loot back, and it's not scary anymore. And I feel like that's a mistake that a lot of horror makes in that, like, the scariness of, like, that was Outlast for me. Outlast, I played that, and it just wasn't scary to me because it's like the scariness of it was just like trying to gross you out with the amount of guts and like
The
naked
scary
dudes.
the scariest part of Outlast is the first like 30 minutes before you beat Big Man for the first time.
Yeah, literally. And
Like the payoff of the whole game is you're crawling through that thing and he kills you a little pig and he grabs you and chucks you over that fucking ledge. Nothing else in that game is scary.
no, no, literally nothing else. And it
Uh,
sucks because it has such a good, like, through the camera, that's such a cool concept, but it just does it so poorly.
uh, that game is interesting because I've played it a lot and I like a lot of elements of it. I think it has a good look. I think it has good designs. I think it has a good atmosphere that it's kind of wastes on pointless jump scares 90% of the time.
Well, it's
But it does make for a really good haunted house.
that's true. That is true. It spoils it on jump scares. I think the thing for me, and maybe I'm just fucking desensitized, I don't know, but like the horror being boom guts is like, okay, that's not scary. That's just like this is the sixth time that I've seen someone sawed in half. Like,
Yeah, that series goes a little too over the top. I think the like expectation of like gore being scary is kind of wrong. Um, it can be used effectively. I've even used it a couple of times now, but it's a payoff in and of itself.
Right,
Which the
yeah.
game understands at first, because like one of the first things you see after exploring for a few minutes is that guy who's been impaled on a fucking rod, and that visual I still think is kind of scary. And then the rest of the game does it constantly, and you're like, okay, I, I got your point like 3 hours ago.
Yeah, yeah. And from what I've seen, the Outlast Trials does a pretty good job of that, but also the Outlast Trials is just kind of inherently hard to take seriously because I'm playing it with other people.
Yeah, multiplayer horror is a whole different ballpark. I don't even. I almost think it works on different sensibilities. It has to by the nature of being what it is, right? Like it's
Yeah,
just not
yeah.
going to be as scary, and that's something you just have to accept. Uh, Unfortunately, the Outlast series has. I haven't played Trials. I don't know if I will. But the single player ones have doubled down on the problem that makes them less scary as it's gone on. Uh, the first game's DLC uh, ratchets up the like shock horror in a way where it's just not shocking. One of the last things that happens to you in that game is you almost get circumcised by a buzzsaw or castrated by a buzzsaw.
Right.
It's like what the fuck? This is dumb. And then the second game, and I'm not gonna go too deep into this because the whole fucking topic, and it's a touchy one, and it's got stuff, baggage tied to it. But that game ratchets up a lot of focus on like sexual horror, and that's a minefield, right? Like
Yeah, yeah, that's really
that that
dangerous.
that's a minefield, and I respectfully don't think those guys have the and I those guys don't have the delicate touch to handle that, and that's not even really an insult because I wouldn't have the delicate touch to handle that. I just wouldn't even touch it. Like
Yeah, no, that's
that's
such a,
not,
that's such a
that's not
touchy
a ballpark.
topic.
That's the ballpark I'm not getting into. Like
Yeah.
I would never want to pick up that theme, and I guess props for trying, but come on, guys, you were not the guys for that.
Yeah, no.
And I know it can be done well because like Silent Hill 2 does a lot of that, and
Right, yeah. And
that's
even
one of my
even
favorite
Alien
games of
to
all
an
time.
extent.
It's a huge like subtle like background theme to especially like Alien One and like Romulus.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But boy, was Red Barrel's not the guys to try to do that.
No.
Outlast 2 is awful. Do not like that game. I am lenient on the first game because, like I said, I don't really think it's that scary, but I do think it's at least effective in that kind of haunted house kind of way. Like I get the same like I'm tired of it by a certain point feeling that it sounds like you do too, but at least like it was pretty locked in on trying to be a haunted house, and it does hammer that like high intensity home.
Right, yeah.
Uh, but boy, the rest of that series sure the fuck doesn't.
True. Yeah, I kind of actually the talking about the Outlast Trials reminded me. Horror multiplayer is always difficult to do right, and I feel like the games that end up doing it best are the ones that aren't trying to do it. Uh,
I've been, ironically enough, been more scared playing things like Lethal Company than I have playing things like Dead by Daylight or any of those asymmetric like horror multiplayer games.
yeah, yeah. So I not a long time ago, I was playing with a group of friends, and there's a mod for Lethal Company that lets you play it in VR, right? And at the time, I still had my VR, so I was playing through it in that. And there was a bunch of other mods on it because, of course, Lethal Company is a fun game, but goddamn, it's hard to play without mods. Uh, and one of the mods was the Skinwalker mod, which makes it so that the enemies will record like
Yes.
sections of what you say and will play it back to you in response. And that was some of the scariest shit I've ever experienced. I would even put it above that time I played Alien Isolation in VR.
I
Like,
remember, yeah, no, I've done that mod too. I remember it, because you're playing Lethal Company. It's mostly comedy, right? Like it's a goofy time. Everyone's making jokes and saying stupid shit and doing dumb shit. You don't realize how scary it is to hear your friend's dumb shit repeated back to you out of the darkness of a room until it
yeah,
happens.
yeah. I recall specifically there was this one event that I remember very clearly. because I'd gotten separated from the rest of the group, and I wasn't aware of it at the time, but they had all died. Like they'd all been killed. And so I'm walking through this facility. It's completely dark because they took the apparatus with them. Uh, and I'm scared out of my fucking mind. And I'm yelling out for him like, "Hey, where are you guys at?" And I hear like distantly someone yell, like one of my buddies yell, "Hey, over here!" And so
Oh no.
I'm like, "Oh, thank God!" And so I start running over there, and then I see a body, and I'm like, "Oh fuck!" And then I hear again, it's like, "Hey, over here!" And I look down the hallway, and there's a trail of bodies, and then an open door. And that is probably the most scared I've ever been playing a video game.
Yeah,
And it's
that's
fucking Lethal Company.
that that circumstance for sure. I think the closest I've ever gotten to a co-op horror game being scary is probably like it takes the right circumstances and you can play in the right difficulty, but Phasmophobia can get you in the right circumstances.
Yeah, I
It
think
depends. It depends on which ghost you're fighting too, because but the right ghost with the right difficulty. There's some moments in that game where it's like, oh, okay,
yeah, Phasmophobia, I will give it. So it's kind of falls into the same category as Lethal Company for me personally, where it's like most of the time it's kind of almost goofy. Uh
yeah,
But one thing I will give it is that I have never, even in, like, I've played a good bit of that game, and even still, I still feel like a pit of dread in my stomach when I'm first going into, like, the asylum or the prison or, like, one of the big maps.
yeah. The bigger maps, yeah. 90% of the time that game's goofy too, but it does get the closest to having like consistent moments of dread, especially if you're on like a higher difficulty and you've got a bunch of equipment and you have a bigger map and you guys are maybe just taking it a little bit more seriously. It can get there.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Um,
But by and large, I just accept that like when you're doing like a multiplayer co-op horror thing, most of the time having a buddy just makes things not so scary, and you have to accept that like co-op horror is more about the themes of horror and less about the feelings of being scared.
yeah, definitely. I think probably the best thing to happen to co-op horror has been proximity chat.
For sure.
Proximity chat adds so much to it because, like, yeah, sure, watching your buddy get dragged away is scary, but if he's still in the Discord call with you, it's like, okay, whatever, I can still talk to him. But like
Pro-
listening to him get actually physically dragged away is so much worse.
Prox chat is huge. I agree. Uh, let's see. Uh, as far as the mountain of single player horror games that I know I like, I mentioned Silent Hill earlier. The first four in particular. I'm one of the. I got a real like black sheep opinion on that series where I like all the first four a lot. I think the fourth one is actually my favorite,
Uh-huh.
which is not a popular opinion. At least it wasn't. I don't know what the popular opinion is now, but generally speaking, people are all about Silent Hill 2, and for fair reason because that game is phenomenal. The remake was pretty good too. Uh, and then like Silent Hill 1 and 3 kind of got their fans and have their own thing going on, but I really like Silent Hill 4. I really like its approach to things. I like its plot. I think it's got some interesting mechanics and some interesting scares in there that the other series can't really. The games in the series can't really pull off because of the nature of their premise.
Uh-huh.
That the fourth one can get away with doing because its premise is so wildly different than the other three in that initial series.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't actually played any of the Silent Hill games. I've been meaning to, but as previously mentioned many times, broke bitch. Uh, the one that I really want to play is the
Uh,
remake.
emulate the first four.
Emulate the first
Em-
four. Got
emulate.
it.
They're all PS2. They're all PS2 games. Well,
Got
the
it.
first one's a PS. The first one's a PS1 game, but you can do that too. You're a big boy. You know how to do it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've dabbled.
That is one of those games that I can. That's one of those series that I consider culturally important enough and old enough that if you don't have an easy way to buy them, it is not. And generally speaking, I support piracy to a certain degree, anyways. Just for the sake of like preservation and stuff. Obviously, buy games when and where you can, and if you pirate something and like it, give that person money, right?
Right,
I'm not
right.
saying don't pay your artists, but we live in a world where piracy is also acceptable to a certain extent, depending on when, where, and why. There's context to it. Is my point.
Yeah, yeah.
And in that case, I would say the fourth one is the only one that is easily purchasable right now out of that original series. It's like $20 on GOG. I think it is acceptable to pirate those 4 games and like emulate them because they are all phenomenal and worth playing. Um, as long as you can look past the fact that they're old. Boy, are they
Right.
old.
Yeah.
But they are phenomenal. And then obviously, like Silent Hill 2 Remake's really good. Buy that. But that original 4, I would say if you really want to play them, just hoist the Jolly Roger.
Yeah, yeah. Uh yeah, excuse me. The kind of inherent like issue with a lot of those like early horror games for me personally is that I can appreciate the themes and the storytelling and all that kind of thing. But then, I'll look at, oh, hey, that guy's like the knife that is being swung at me is exactly 2 polygons. I can count them.
Did not play the Silent Hill games for the first time until I was like 16, 17, so I was a little bit younger than you. Um, and it had been at a point where I'd already seen like Dead Space and the newer Resident Evil games and a bunch of high fidelity shit. And I think they are so well made that if you can even turn your brain off for the first 30 minutes, they will lock the fuck in and still capture you.
Yeah, yeah, and that's so my first experience with that kind of thing was playing New Vegas when I was like fucking 13, I think. Uh which was a while ago, I'll grant you. But uh that was like, man, I don't like this game because its graphics are bad. And then I played through the first like hour of it and I was like, holy fuck, this game is peak. Uh
Yeah.
so I
If
imagine
you
it's the
can
same
give
thing.
if you can give those games the benefit of the doubt and like extend the olive branch, they're gonna meet you more than halfway and be absolutely phenomenal. Uh, Silent Hill 2 still has some of my favorite scares in that franchise. It's also got some of the best plot in that franchise. Silent Hill 4 is just interesting. 1 and 3, I mean, visually, I think they have my favorite looks, and I've worn a lot of influence on my sleeve already. Um, they're just good. Um, I'm also always been a very open Resident Evil fan. If you look at my Steam profile, the 2 games I have perfect. I have everything in perfected. There we go. I got it.
There you go.
We got there. Sorry. Yeah, we talked about doing this. We talked about doing it in the morning. My ass has been awake for just about 2 hours now. So my language isn't quite there. But yeah, of the 2 games I have showcased on my completionist showcased, it's the 2 Resident Evil remakes, 2 and 3. Uh, I love that franchise a lot. Um, I've been playing that since like probably like 2002. I watched my cousin play the original version of the second game way back when, and it's just all been downhill from there. Uh, I've played every game in that franchise at this point. Even, and if you're gonna say, what about this one? Yes, I played that one too. There is not one game in this franchise I haven't played. Uh, but by and large, I don't consider them that scary anymore, and that's probably more of a desensitized thing, though. I've played so many of them that they don't bother me that much anymore.
Right, right.
But like the first time I played Resident Evil 7, back when it first came out, it did hit me. It was pretty spooky. That game uh, might be one of the scarier ones in the franchise. Resident Evil Village has one set piece in particular that really scared me. The first time I saw it on repeat playthroughs, it's so scripted that it's not that bad. But the first time you
Right,
see
yeah.
it, oh fuck. Um, and the ninth one, which isn't out yet, but I've seen the trailers and stuff, looks like it might have the same deal where the first time through is probably going to hit pretty scary, and then the repeat. The thing about that franchise is like the first time through is pretty spooky, but it's also a franchise designed so that like repeat playthroughs are more about speed than they are like the horror. They're really good speed games. So it gets that replayability by being like You're gonna take your time the first time, be scared, be spooked, and then every playthrough after that, you're gonna route and find routes to go really fast.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, this is actually a tough topic because I have so many horror games I could talk about, so many
Go
that I
for it.
love.
Pop off.
I could pop off for so long. I love the Dead Space 1 and 2 and Dead Space remake. I don't like 3, but Dead Space 1 was probably, besides Resident Evil, which I dabbled in off and on, and again, I never really considered that scary by and large. I think Dead Space 1 is probably the first horror game that I went out of my way to go play and helped kickstart like where I'm at now, and just in terms of like I went out there and I just kind of took a chance on a game because it looked cool, and it ended up being very good. And it's got kind of an Outlast thing where it's a really good haunted house. It's a lot better at being generally scary than Outlast is, but it's definitely a lot more about intensity than it is, strictly speaking, horror. But the enemy design are all really spooky, and the atmosphere is still good, and they nail the lighting and the sound effects really well. And the first two games have a plot that I like a lot. Too bad they fucking wasted it with that third game.
Yeah. I've only played the first one.
That's
The
the
remake to
best one.
clarify. Uh,
That's one of those cases. The remake is I I always hold value in like the original version of a game, right? Like even down to subtle differences. So it's not like I'm going to say that you shouldn't play like the 2008 version ever if someone was interested in it. But that remake is so good at capturing what the first game wanted to be anyway, is that it's probably acceptable to have just played that one and you'll get pretty much the same point across. Uh, but like, because that's like Resident Evil 2 and then Resident Evil 2 remake are substantially different enough that I still recommend people to play like the original Resident Evil 2. It's a different game, it's a different experience. Dead Space 1, Dead Space 1 remake are comparable enough. And in some degree, I think Dead Space 1 remake's lighting hits in ways I like a little bit better. Because like lighting and sound effects are two of the most important things, in my opinion,
yeah.
to nailing horror.
Yeah, I agree. I think honestly, sound
Uh,
effects, just like in general, are probably the most important part of most games.
I hold them in unique sanctity for horror games because like there's like I'm playing a shooter. I want the gun sounds to be good, but if they're not, there's probably other stuff going on I can focus in on, right? Like there's a lot of guns in Halo that I think sound good, but then you play Halo 2 and the SMG sounds like a fucking staple gun. Like it doesn't sound
Right.
good.
Yeah.
But there's so
Yeah.
much other stuff in that game that I like that like a couple of the guns not sounding great, it's whatever, I can ignore it. But I'm playing a horror game. If I'm not scared at certain sounds, then that's like probably like 60% of your atmosphere off rip. Because the sounds can circumvent like you might not have a great lighting engine. Maybe you don't have the budget to have fantastic lighting, or maybe you have pre-baked lighting or whatever, right? So your lighting's not going to do the work, but you can make up for that by having the sound effects do that. Or if your
Yeah,
modeling
yeah.
isn't great, or you're doing a limited art style, so your modeling is intentionally like low poly and low detail, the right sound effects are going to make up that imagination for me.
Right. Yeah. I actually have a pretty detailed experience with that one. The No Man's Sky, which is I fucking said that weird, but No Man's Sky, if you know anything about that game, that is not a horror game, right? Like
Not at all.
that game has a cartoony aesthetic. It's got kind of a cheery atmosphere. But me and a buddy, we went back when I played the hell out of that game, which I need to get back into actually. But back when I played that game a lot, I would be like me and my buddy would be flying around, and one of the things you can find is derelict ships. And on some of those derelict ships, you can find like that they're infested with these like fuck ass bug things. They're kind of like the Terminids almost. That's probably the closest comparison I can draw to people who don't know what they look like. Uh, But the sound design is so immaculate because it is completely silent on that ship except for like a constant heartbeat sound that's not yours, like it's coming from the ship. And just the sound design of the bugs and the logs you find and all that stuff, that was one of the best horror experiences in a sci-fi setting that I've done since like Alien Isolation. It was so good. Uh, and I can tell that it was all down to the sound design because let me tell you, as soon as we fucked up and one of those bugs spawned, it's like, oh wait, these guys are actually fucking pushovers. We can just kill these guys. This is not an issue.
Uh, the which is why, like, going to the tabletop thing, my narration has picked up all the slack because I don't have sound effects, right?
Right, right.
So I have to deliver that information by describing what you're hearing. And then, like, when you play a game, like, a lot of the good scares are built up by, like, you hearing something out of frame or from a different room or whatever that sounds awful, horrifying, scraping metal or a scream or some weird squelchy sound. That could be anything, and your mind's gonna fill in the gaps on that one, which is why a lot of those scares are paid off by there not being anything there, and you're just like, fuck.
Yep.
Um, Silent Hill 1, Silent Hill 2 do that really well. There's distinct scares I can think of in both those games that play on the sound effects you hear. Um, Dead Space does a lot of stuff with the sound where you're just hearing shit, and you know how the necromorphs work, so you know it could be anywhere, it could be basically anything. Um, so sound is like chief, like number one. If you're gonna get anything right, you want to get your sound right. Your sound effects, because, like, yeah, your payoff might not be like the scariest design ever, but my imagination's already done so much work that it's probably still gonna hit.
Right, yeah. And I feel like honestly that kind of extends even past horror. Like, I can tell you Elite Dangerous, which is kind of like No Man's Sky for even bigger nerds.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the most boring games I've ever played. Uh, but but
Sorry. Yeah.
but goddamn, that sound design hits. Like,
Yeah. Sound design's always important. I just love the, like. There's a certain reverence to it in terms of horror that I think is unique to that genre that other genres don't have quite the weight to it.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Because there's, like, even that ambience, like in Silent Hill 1, you just kind of get that ambient, like, you'll hear, like, machinery and kind of an ambient thumping sound, and it's just kind of generally unsettling in a way that, like, other games don't have to worry about the ambience having such weight to it. You playing a shooter and you get kind of like war ambience or spaceship sounds or, city sounds or whatever. They're good. It's important, but it's important as background dressing in a way where in horror games it's going to affect the subconscious, and I think in a more direct way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some other horror games that I gotta, like, at least touch on. I mentioned Fatal Frame earlier. Fatal Frame 2 and 3 in particular. The first one's not that great, in my opinion. I haven't played the fourth one or beyond, but the second and third ones uh, are, for the era they came out, might have some of the best, like, atmosphere in that, like, PS2 era of horror games. They really know how to nail it. They get the lighting really well. They touch on the thing that I think a lot of horror games don't, by going from more like spirits and ghosts and stuff, and especially for the time it came out, it was a lot more like monsters or zombies or whatever, and hitting the ghosts, because ghosts present a problem less physical. There's rules to that are ignored. Ghosts can go through walls, they can appear wherever, they aren't bound by any physical limitations that. Like, I'm playing Resident Evil, I can just go through a door, and 9 times out of 10, whatever was in that room is not going to follow me.
Right. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. The that one Snapcube video with the Resident Evil comes to mind. Have you seen that one?
I don't think so.
It's some of the funniest shit I've ever seen. It's basically they're messing with Mr. X by going in and out of a door, and because it's Snapcube, they're obviously voicing Mr. X,
Yeah.
and so it's like, oh, there you are. Where'd she go? And then he starts
Yeah.
back up the stairs, like, oh, hey, there you are. Wait, where'd she go? And it's just like going
Which
in and out of doors.
is one of those things that, like, Resident Evil 3, the original version, was so huge because the chief monster of that game will follow you from most rooms to rooms. He can traverse loading screens like you can. Which means it's like when the first time he does that, and you're playing that game, you're like, oh shit, that's not the rules established to me by 2 other video games. What's happening here?
Right. Yeah.
And then Fatal Frame hits you with like they're ghosts, so they can just show up wherever, and they don't always, but some of them can follow you through walls or follow you through doors or be wherever because they're ghosts and they don't really give a shit. And I think that's cool. I think more games should try to. I think more games should try to follow that, like the ghosts that aren't gonna be quite as easily avoided because I don't think that's been tapped as much as it should be.
Yeah, that should definitely be explored a lot more. I feel like a lot of it suffers from the fact that, like, because it's in a game engine, you're just kind of naturally going to have some limitations. But if you can figure out a way to, like, balance those, I feel like you'd have a really winning and, like you said, not very tapped formula.
Um, and those games also just have really hard hitting plots. Like I mentioned, I've drawn from the second one in particular for what I'm running for us on Thursday. Because I think its plot hits really, really well. It's got a really good emotional beat to it that I like a lot. That a lot of games just don't. A lot of even not horror games don't take their plots as emotionally as some of those games in that series do.
Yeah, I definitely putting it on the list, although obviously after we finish the campaign, because as you said,
Yeah,
spoilers.
after we finish that campaign, I'd highly recommend, even if you don't play all of them, like check them out somehow because they're good.
Right, right.
Um, one of my like, it's not quite underappreciated anymore, but for a while, Condemned Criminal Origins was kind of overlooked. It's not a perfect game, but it does a really interesting thing with its setup and its environments. It has really good environmental design. Everything looks really dingy. You're in like this crime-ridden, rundown city, and it's got interesting gameplay about like melee combat, and it's first person and investigating crimes. You're like tracking down a serial killer, so it's more like the movie Seven and less like a zombie movie or something like that.
Oh, that's cool. I love
It,
Seven,
it's
by the way. That's such a good movie.
it's a good movie. I'd recommend checking out Condemned. Then I think you would like it. It's not perfect. It drops the ball in a lot of ways, but it's such an interesting concept to explore in a video game that it just kind of stands out to me. It was also made by Monolith, so if you're familiar with that name, that should at least speak some
Yeah, yeah,
quality.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Hang on.
They made Fear, which is another one of those horror games I like a lot. That's a good combination of action and horror in a way that isn't accomplished very well very often.
Yeah. Oh, actually, that reminds me. Fuck, what was that game called? There was a game that came out not a super long time ago that was really heavily inspired by Fear. Trepang, that's the one.
Trepang is really good. I love the Mothman level. Is maybe my favorite level in that game.
Yeah, no, that Mothman level. I was like, I'll be honest, the rest of the game is kind of eh. Like just
I like its gameplay. Its plot's dumb as fuck.
the plot is dumb as fuck, but like on occasion they do horror really fucking well.
I think those guys can make a banger horror game.
The
Uh,
gameplay, I honestly, this might just be personal preference. It felt a little bit like Ultra Kill, but worse. And then again, that's probably just personal preference. It just wasn't for me. I played through all of it, but eh.
for what they're asking for it, I think it's fine.
Oh yeah, no, definitely for the price tag, absolutely. Uh, and as I mentioned, my mandatory playtime requirement, I definitely got out of the price. So
I think it's I think just in the context of like a high energy kind of turn your brain off kind of game, it's fantastic for that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, horror it's good. um, but that Mothman level, I think if they took inspiration from that, they could have make a whole ass horror game
Oh,
and get away
absolutely.
with it
That
very well.
that Mothman level was fucking terrifying my first time through.
Um, let's see. There's another couple ones I wanted to mention that I really like. Uh, I guess just to throw it out there, horror is kind of surviving through the indie scene right now. At least for a long time, it was.
True.
Crow Country was phenomenal. Um, what else am I thinking of? Oh God! As soon as I bring it up, I lose all fucking thought processes in my head. Um, Crow Country was really good. Oh God damn it! I'm a fraud.
He's a
Lone
fraud.
Survivor. Um,
I guess
I
while
promise they're out there.
yeah. Well, I guess if you want to think, feel free. I also, I think the only real gripe I have with horror is when it relies too heavily on jump scares. Jump scares are good; they can be very good, but if it's the entire horror, it's not scary. It's FNAF. uh,
I will go to bat for the early FNAF games in
yeah.
terms of big horror.
Some of the early ones are good, but like I feel like jump scares are to horror what tickling is to comedy. Like it's not it might be funny for a little bit, but then it's like, okay, this is forcing it, and I'm not scared. I'm just surprised for a second.
For me, it's going to depend on what your setup is, how you're presenting everything, that kind of thing. Generally, I agree, but I think there are exceptions. I am going to defend probably at least the first Five Nights at Freddy's. I don't really like it. It's not really for me, but I can defend it on the aspect of the horror and the jump scare. That game builds up to its jump scare, and if you fail a
Yeah,
lot, yeah, you'll probably get desensitized to it. But I can't pretend that there isn't adequate build up, given that the jump scare is a direct result to your own stress and your own failures, your own mistakes, and that's where the tension in horror comes in. And it's almost a smart design decision in that it lets you build up all that tension. It pays it off because it knows you're gonna have to build it all again because all the tension comes from you.
right, yeah. And I will say, like, my statement on jump scares, that's the case if it's done poorly. If there's enough build up to it, then a jump scare is awesome. Like the going back to the Mothman level in Trepang, the build up to the jump scare of the thing popping out of the elevator at you is fantastic. It's so scary when it happens, and then it goes into a chase scene that's super well done. But if it's just like, bah, something pops out at you, and it's like, okay, this
Yeah,
is like,
there's there's definitely a point where it's too much. I just think there's a finer line between that than a lot of people will just assume that if something has jump scares or even a lot of jump scares that there's no effort put into it. I don't think that's entirely fair.
yeah. I guess my statement was a little bit too much of a blanket, but in general, I don't like jump scares. If it's done well, then it's done really well. But in general, eh.
Um, okay, I cooked. I got a couple of answers here.
Sure.
I think we've talked about Signalis before.
Oh, dude. Oh, I fucking love Signalis.
That is bar for bar probably one of the best modern indie horror games.
Yeah.
And
It's oh my
can I
god.
tell you a fun little secret that I found out reading stuff about that game?
Sure.
Supposedly, it was inspired by the same book that I inspired the Centius campaign from,
Really?
The King in Yellow. Apparently,
Huh.
I would have to go back through and double check to pay more attention, but I would not be surprised that's correct. I also didn't finish Signalis, so maybe I just didn't see
Oh
everything that
man.
would alight to that.
No, I've finished Signalis, and I can see some of the inspiration, like some of the parallels, not between Sentius and it entirely,
But
but
the King in
like,
Yellow, but yeah.
yeah.
But I can kind of see it because the whole thing with Signalis is like this: the world's fucked up and kind of it's got the vibe. I think because the
Yeah.
whole thing with the King in Yellow is his influence and his I don't know. It's the influence. I can see it. It's kind of hard to put into words. I think. But anyway, the game's really good. I need to go back and do a proper start to finish playthrough of it. Because the first like 2 or 3 hours of that game are phenomenal.
The
Um,
rest of the game carries you through. I can tell you right now, it's
I
so
believe
good.
it. Um, so that's up there. I hope that guy goes on to make literally anything.
Yeah.
Um, and then they're only technically indie, but um, frictional games made nothing but bangers their entire life.
I'm familiar with which one.
Amnesia, Penumbra, Soma.
Oh, those were the guys behind Amnesia. Got it. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know
I
the name of the company, but I knew the games.
Yep, they're frictional. They've made the only thing that their name is attached to that I don't like is A Machine for Pigs, and even then they didn't develop that; they just helped publish it. So whatever. Penumbra, all three of those are really fun in their own ways. They're also good at the atmosphere. Amnesia: The Dark Descent might be one of the best horror games, even if it's a little played out at this point, and the things it brought into the scene aren't things I care for. Like, I think by and large, a lot of games use no combat as a crutch instead of making a scary game. Not always, but by and large.
Right.
Uh, but then like they made Soma, which is an existential nightmare. And Amnesia Rebirth was really good, and Amnesia the Bunker was probably the best horror game of that year. I like how they've kind of constantly iterated on their concepts. They went from like minimal combat to no combat, but ways to circumvent that, to introducing combat as a deterrent, but not as a solution, similar to Alien Isolation.
Right. Yeah.
And then A Machine for Pigs is just bad.
Yeah.
Um, and they're technically independent, though they have probably more pedigree than a lot of indie devs do, just in terms of like money and renown and stuff like
Right.
that.
Yeah. Simply by nature of having made the Amnesia series.
Um, and then they're not indie, but they are big hitters to me personally. There's an RPG on the PlayStation 1 called Parasite Eve. It's more RPG than horror, but the horror is uh, not something you can argue. It is definitely horror adjacent. It's kind of a sequel to a Japanese book,
Really?
which is weird. Yeah,
That's interesting. I haven't come across many like multimedia. That's not the right fucking word, but like several different genres of media.
yeah, no, it's like a multi. Yeah, I didn't because like as me being not Japanese, I didn't know there was a book at all until years and years ago. Me and a bunch of friends played through it, and uh, I found out just kind of doing that there was a book that it's a sequel to, um, which is cool. And I like the game a lot. Anyone who likes like turn-based RPGs, I would highly recommend it. It's one of Square's better games, in my opinion. I like a lot of Square made Final Fantasy.
Oh,
Um,
gotcha. Okay.
and I like a lot of Final Fantasy games too, but Parasite Eve, I really enjoy. The short version of the plot synopsis is there, and it's not scientifically accurate. I'll get ahead of you there. There's a kind of like a I don't even know how to describe it, like an evolution of humanity um, that wants to kind of rid the world of the human race by making them spontaneously combust and then turn into monsters.
Huh.
It sounds goofy, but they play it straight in a way where the horror of spontaneously combusting is just played very well. There's this phenomenal. If you ever want to kind of get a glimpse of what it's like, just go look up the opera scene from the very start of the game. For a game made in 1998, it's kind of horrifying.
Gotcha. That sounds really interesting, actually.
I like it a lot. I like it so much that I own it physically. I own the whole ass PlayStation 1 game.
Wow.
I just own the bitch. I went out and I paid like 80 something bucks for a physical copy of it at a game store because I just adore the game. It's got a lot of personal memories to it too. You know, my friends and I played it, did a whole thing with that. But it's really good, and I think it's not quite obscure. Like people know what it is, but it is underappreciated, and Square just has this IP that they aren't doing anything with now because they made two sequels that aren't as great, and then just kind of let it go dormant. But I
Ah,
think
that
I
sucks.
think if there was ever a time to get more Parasite Eve, now would be the time.
Yeah, that's just like conceptually sounds super interesting.
They have a whole explanation with the science, and it has something to do with like the mitochondria, which is just not how that would work. But we ignore that because it's a good game.
Right. You can have some suspension of disbelief.
Um, then another Japanese one that I have a lot of affinity for, and is in that ballpark of like if you know horror stuff, you know it, but it's not like a common name. The series, the Siren series, Forbidden Siren.
Never heard of it, but carry on.
It is also maybe one of the scarier games I've ever played. It plays the no combat thing a lot differently than a lot of other games do. There is combat, but the enemies are invulnerable. So
Oh,
if you go out of your so first of all, combat's clunky intentionally, in my opinion, um, because you're supposed to be kind of disinclined to get into combat. You want to spend more time avoiding enemies than anything. If you
right,
do take the time to fight an enemy or waste your precious ammunition on an enemy, it's to give yourself time to get away because they're going to get back up. They are down for like a couple of seconds, a minute maybe, and not very long. It depends on the enemy. And it's more of like a lot of levels are more like esoteric puzzles than anything, and to a degree where it's almost too obscure, and a lot of the puzzles are really fucking frustrating. But I think it kind of works in its favor because the whole idea is, stop me if you've heard this one before. These people end up trapped in kind of a distorted version of reality.
whoa,
Oh, um, and there's a lot of context to that I can't even begin to explain right now because it's kind of a complicated little deal. But they ended up in this distorted version of reality and are trapped there, and they cannot get out. And the whole game is just these people trying really, really hard to find a way to get out, and by and large, not succeeding. And it's just this really intense, overbearing atmosphere. The game pulls absolutely zero punches with anything it does, and that does it a lot of favors if you can get past how inherently frustrating it is to be in these really esoteric kind of puzzles that are inherently difficult to understand and piece together. Um, because by and large, the situation they're in doesn't have like clear answers to anything. So it's this weird like, yeah, it's got like that moon logic kind of puzzle that's annoying, but I
right.
almost think it fits with the setting the game's got going on. It hits this like uncanny atmosphere in every sense of the word. Uh, it's one of the few cases where I almost say if you don't have the patience to play it, there's a couple of good like playthroughs and like let's plays I actually recommend to get the experience because it's worth even seeing it in a compromised form.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'll definitely have
Uh,
to look into that then.
I like it a lot. The second one's also fine. I think the second one's less good, but more in the nature of the first one hits so good that the second one had a lot to live up to and is still a fun watch or play. And then there was a really shitty American remake
That
that
tends
I
to be.
don't care for. I don't care for as much, but I think it's got uh, some of the bar for bar best horror and has connections to Silent Hill in terms of the staff that worked on it. The
Oh, very
director,
cool.
the director of Siren One, I believe, was the director of Silent Hill One,
Interesting. Okay.
and he also went on to work on something just this last year that was also a horror game, but I'm not super familiar with it.
That
Um,
is interesting. I love those connections.
yeah, I love. Uh, I follow the creative team behind the Silent Hill games pretty closely because I like to see what they're up to, and they keep dipping back in the games every once in a while. The composer for Silent Hill 1 through 4, I think, worked on one of the newer Silent Hills, one of the ones that came out in the last couple of years.
Uh,
Uh, and yeah, it those guys are just fun to follow. Okay, I'm gonna do two more, and then I'll stop talking.
sure.
Uh, Eternal's Darkness, Sandy's Requiem, GameCube game.
I've not
Rob,
heard of it. Okay.
that is Lovecraft cosmic. It's cosmic horror, I should say, to its fullest extent. It is maybe the best representation of cosmic horror in a video game. And actually saying anything more than that says too much. That is a sight
Gotcha.
unseen, play the game. But it
Okay.
delivers on cosmic horror on a in-universe and meta level in a way that not a lot of other things have accomplished. And that's where I leave that one at.
Okay. I adore cosmic horror, so I'll definitely have to look into that.
I think you'd be interested. That's another one where I'd say you probably just be best to just accept emulating that one because it doesn't even have a re-release on anything.
Right, unless I
It's
want to
just the
find a
GameCube game.
GameCube.
It's also expensive, so even if you had a GameCube, like good luck.
Right.
But emulating it, highly recommended. Um, what was the other one that I wanted to specifically mention? I could talk all day. Is the problem, right?
I don't know. I mean, we've got a fucking podcast. That's kind of the point.
Fair enough. Um, um, let's see which one I'm gonna pick on next. Uh, I could get really, really, really far back. There was a Nintendo like an NES game, technically a Famicom game because it was only in Japan, called Sweet Home.
Uh-huh.
Might be, far as my memory goes, might be one of the like one of the first real survival horror games. It's made by Capcom, and it was their basis to go on and make Resident Evil.
Oh,
Uh,
interesting.
and it's an adaptation of a film.
Huh.
And it's like an RPG, but it plays on RPG mechanics in a way to ramp up the horror.
Right.
Um, and it's just kind of inherently interesting to see horror displayed on an NES in a way that isn't like Castlevania is technically kind of horror themed, right, with Dracula and stuff, but it's not scary. And
Yeah.
to be fair, I'm sure Sweet Home isn't really scary, but it sure does try to deliver in a way that like Castlevania doesn't. Um, there's kind of intense monster designs, and you have your party. It's permadeath, so if someone in your party dies, they're just dead, like in a
Ooh,
movie.
okay.
And there's a limited inventory, so you have to be careful with your inventory, and battles are really tough. And it's probably the best that an NES game could have pulled off with that.
That does sound interesting. Permadeath's a really heavy choice. I like that.
It's bold for an NES game, I think. It's bold for a game in general, really.
Yeah, permadeath, like forced permadeath in any game is just kind of inherently a
Yeah.
really, really dangerous choice.
Um, yeah, there's Sweet Home on that list. I've talked about System Shock and the server before. I think those games are just sci-fi horror at their peak.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, System Shock is fucking incredible.
I love System Shock 2. I think that game's got its dialogue and the way the voices sound in that game are almost scarier than anything else in the game. Not just like, yeah, the big bad has a really creepy voice, but like the random enemies, even hearing the normal people talk is just kind of disconcerting in that game.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I haven't, fuck, it's been so long since I played System Shock, but yeah, no, the dialogue in those games is fucking weird.
It's hearing people talk is just kind of like they say things and it's just kind of this inherently disconcerting like I don't know why you're saying these things to me.
Can you stop?
I don't Can you stop speaking to me, please?
Yeah.
I don't care for this. Um I'm gonna miss something inevitably, so I'm sure we'll talk about horror again at some point if it's anything you want to bring up.
Um, Not really. I guess the only real thing I can bring up is like I think one of my favorite things that happens with horror is when it's like brought up in a game that it really shouldn't be in. Like we talked about Lethal Company earlier, but other games like Barotrauma. Uh, some of my scariest experiences in gaming have been in Barotrauma. It's for those uninitiated. It's a side-scrolling submarine simulator. Uh,
That's that's one I've wanted to play, but I gotta have a group to play it with, and I don't.
Yeah, it requires a dedicated group, but it plays really heavy off of the voice, like the proximity chat thing we were talking about. Um, I don't think I've ever experienced something quite as scary as being on a diving expedition and hearing over my radio people screaming about a monster attacking the submarine, and then slowly the voices like stopping talking on the radio.
Oh, Call of Cthulhu: Dark Corners of the Earth. Uh,
I'm somehow unfamiliar with that. Is that
that's crazy.
hang
It's an
on?
adaptation of. Ironically, it's more of an adaptation of Shadow over Innsmouth than it is Call of Cthulhu. But it's a mostly straight adaptation of Innsmouth. So you play like a detective, and he goes to Innsmouth to investigate stuff, and it all just goes downhill from there, right?
Right.
And it's a little janky, and getting it to run on PCs can be difficult, but it's also a very earnest attempt to adapt that story and that mythos, and at its best, it's phenomenal. Um,
Interesting.
Also, I believe it has a bunch of modern patches that you can apply to like the Steam version, so it's
Yeah,
completely playable.
I'm looking at it here. It looks really good.
There's some really highlight moments. I think, given your interest in cosmic horror and that stuff in general, I think you'd like it. It's got some moments that are annoying, but it's also got some moments that hit so hard that it's worth it.
Right, right.
Um, so that might be something you might be interested in looking into.
Yeah, yeah, I'm actually looking at it right now. That does look pretty good.
Uh, there's also Clive Barker's Undying. Uh, Clive Barker wrote like Hellraiser and directed Hellraiser, and he's got a pedigree in that genre. And he's made a couple of games, and by and large they're not good. But Undying is very very good uh, for what it is. It's in like the 1920s, and you're this Irish like paranormal investigator guy, and you go to this estate, and you're just investigating weird happenings at this estate, and it's pretty fun. And the guy is aggressively Irish, and I find it really funny.
I love that.
You actually touch on something that might be kind of interesting to talk about, which is like horror and not horror stuff, like not horror games maybe that have like a really horror focused level.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, my go-to number one example of that is always Halo One.
True.
343 Guilty Spark is one of the chief
Yep.
examples of that, and one of the most well done examples of introducing horror into something that is up until that point kind of a power fantasy.
Yeah, yeah.
Then they just suddenly take that power away from you and put you on the back foot.
Yeah, being put on the back foot is always an excellent way to kind of segue into those horror sections in a not horror game.
And it really only lasts that one level because, like, after that, you kind of get back to like, well, I can fight these guys, but that initial like, oh shit, oh fuck, of like, you hear the doors pounding and the floods start coming out, and you're like, what is going on here? Is is very very good horror, especially in a game that up to that point doesn't have a touch of it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. The thing that my mind goes to at first, and this is gonna be you've played this game, so I don't know how far you've got, but this is gonna be a really fucking weird comparison for you, is abiotic factor. Uh there's a section in that game towards I'd say probably the midpoint, because it's a surprisingly long game actually. But towards the midpoint of it, there's a section where you have to progress through these like mostly destroyed warehouse areas. Uh, and there's something that's stalking you the entire time. Uh, and like the entire time that you're being stalked, your first instinct is, oh, it's a monster, I can kill it, and then you try and attack it, and it's like, oh fuck, I actually can't hurt this thing. What the hell? Like the best I can do is stun it for a little bit. Uh, and then you keep going, and you have to go into this thing's home dimension, and it's just such a good spooky environment. And then you keep going, and it's like, okay. And then you get to that point where it's like, okay, I know how to deal with this thing. I have a dedicated weapon to deal with just this thing. We can keep going now.
I
Uh,
sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, but I think that does such a good job of that, like you're describing the key to it is that oh shit moment, because if it overstays its welcome, then it's like, okay, you're not even like you're trying to be scary and you're not anymore.
Backpedaling slightly. I'm a fraud if I don't mention the Alan Wake games, which are more thrillers, but I think definitely are close enough to horror for me to mention because I adore them, especially the second one, which is more blatantly horror. Uh, if you want like a kind of off kilter, like Twin Peaksy kind of deal, I think that's a way to go for it. Everything's just kind of uncanny in those games, and the base concept is so interesting that I just enjoyed them. And the guys who make those games, Remedy, have made almost exclusively bangers.
Fair enough.
But yeah,
Let's see,
not
Alan
horror
Wake.
with horror moments. Um, any any game where they take away your stuff? for a
Yeah.
period of time,
Yep.
especially if it's like take away your stuff and the enemies are otherwise really tough. So you're just kind of hoping for the best. Um, only if it's a temporary measure, of course. But that as a temporary measure, I think it's usually pretty neat. I can't think of any examples offhand, but I know it's a thing that happens.
Yeah, yeah, it's a fairly common theme, especially in a lot of action games. Um, or like intro missions, like this is a shitty example, but it's the first one I could think of. The Doom 2016, the like the intro where it's like, oh, you actually don't really have many effective weapons. I
They give you the
think,
pistol.
yeah, it had the potential to be really good horror of like. I mean, obviously it goes against the theme of Doom, which is, hey, kill these fuckers. But I think it has the potential for like that kind of thing of that being a horror intro, and then you realize, oh wait, I can kill these things.
Um, yeah, I think Half-Life 2 has a good like dabble in the horror.
Yeah,
Ravenholm.
yeah. Ravenholm. I was just about to mention that. Ravenholm. I guess I've got kind of a mixed thing with Ravenholm because I'm a little bit stupid, so I got stuck in Ravenholm for a while.
I'm a little bit stupid.
So I the initial horror kind of wore off, and I was just annoyed at myself. But yeah, definitely a very good horror segment of a game, even if you could kind of tell it was gonna be horror going in.
In that kind of realm of like horror adjacent, I gotta mention Bloodborne because I don't really think it's scary, but it sure does want you to elicit the emotions related to like spooky stuff.
True.
It sure does have a love of appreciation for the atmosphere of the genre, even if it's the whole point is to kind of overcome those feelings and be good. But just the approach to the visual design and the clear appreciation that the game has for horror, I guess.
Yeah. I fuck. I still need to play Bloodborne, but unfortunately, I don't have a PlayStation.
You hope one day.
Please, Sony, port Bloodborne to PC, and my life is yours.
Sony, give it to me.
Sony.
Uh, how long have we been talking? What's the
Uh,
time at?
2 hours and about 20 minutes.
Damn,
Yeah, we've been yapping.
we've been yapping.
I mean, unless if you got anything else to say, I think that's
I,
probably a
I
good
got, I
spot
got, I
to.
got, I got nothing specific. I could talk about dumb shit like this all day, but I think I covered the base points I wanted to get across.
Sure, yeah. I didn't really have a whole lot to say. Horror is one of my favorite genres. I'm just criminally under. Like I don't do a whole lot with it.
I could have gone on about movies too, but it'll be Halloween next year.
Yeah, there's always next year. All right.
All
Well,
right, got another long one in there.
yeah, that was a pretty one of our longer ones, definitely.
We'll see you next month, totally for real.
Yeah, promise, definitely next month.
More likely this time though.
Probably, because
Okay,
schedules.
uh, schedules, yeah. Okay,
Bye.
bye.